Alright, good evening everyone. It's almost dark. Yeah, let's just get right into it. So, 240 on jack stands. We dropped the rear subframe. We need to replace some bushings, and while we're at it, I want to replace some of the control arms and just clean it up, make it look nice and presentable. I already disassembled the right side because I needed to remind myself how to do it, and I wish I had filmed it because it was really funny, but I did not. So that being said, let's move right into it. So the plan is we're gonna take off. So you got to take off the axle nut first. Then you got to hit here with the mallet to release the axle, right? So it's not, make sure it's not seized. And there's bolts in the back, and we pull off the hub. Then you want to remove your control arms. You don't want to do this first because then your knuckle is all over the place, just free to go wherever, and you have no leverage. Then after that, remove the axle bolts for the axle arm, right? You can remove it all and you'll be free. So our goal tonight is to just disassemble this, and we'll put you on a time lapse and I'll explain some things as I go. One thing I quickly want to note and just express to everybody: if your car is not level and you go to drop your rear subframe, it's going to be a pain in the butt. I learned that the hard way. It was a big mistake. And I mean, I'm not going to do that again. So we got the front end jacked up as well, and it's just all sitting pretty. Great, yeah. Let's get right to it. Alright, so here's the axle. I was going to put you on a time lapse. I might still do it, but I got to figure out the best way to do it. I don't know yet, so don't worry. So you got the cotter pin. You gotta take off the cotter pin first. Alright, so it took me 4 minutes to freaking take that off, but that's okay. So, an impact wrench comes in handy. You can do it without an impact wrench, but if you go to do it without an impact wrench, highly advise that you do this part while the axles and everything are still connected to the car. A great reference video is the video by Chris Fix. Just go to his YouTube and just look up 240SX 5-lug swap. It's on there. It's really good. So we're gonna rip this off. Don't forget the dust shield. All right, perfect. Now it's off. You want to put it back on, right? Because we got to make sure that the axle is not seized. In this case, I did this last year. I know it's not seized. Forgive me. Let me get this on. All right. So you make sure it's flush right there, because you don't want to hit threads. I had to replace a couple last year, and then we're just gonna perfect, that easy. So do that first. Make sure you keep your nuts and everything close by, so you're right. All right, now the next hardest step is getting to the back, and I'll show you real quick. I'll just move you around. Okay, so back here, you can see, there's these 4 bolts back there. That's what holds the hub on. Okay? So we got to replace those. And so something that you notice here is this axle has a divot in. You just take your wrench with the socket or whatever you use, stick it back there, and take her off. Super simple. Let me set you back up, and we'll get right to it. Alright, so I just turned the spotlight on so you can see better, but back here, see if you can see it, there's some bolts back there. And I know it's dark, I'll run through it with you guys tomorrow. Like I said, it's going to be a couple part video. So, just wanted to film as much as I possibly could today before it got too dark. So, maybe we'll call it good. Alright, excuse me because it's kind of dark, but we're just going to keep grinding it out. So, we got the rear knuckle bolts off. I used my, where is it? Use my socket wrench. It is a 19mm back there. And if you can see it, probably not, I'll be able to show it to you better tomorrow, or in the morning, or when it's daylight, but we'll show you right here. It's right here in the axle. Oh great, my shadow's right. There's these indents. I don't know if you can see that, I hope you can, but there's an indent. And as it goes into the hub, it allows you to have access to these bolts. And you need to break the bolts to get the hub off. So I have one more bolt left, hand tight, and let me just get to it. Just take it off. Oh, that's not good. Okay, so it's off. What the frick is this? Oh, I'm not worried about that. It ain't going anywhere. Alright. Okay, now that we have all the bolts off, we can, and we also have the axle nut bolt off. Now we can free the hub. We already know that the axle is not seized because it can move, right? So now we are just going to tap to loosen the hub out. So let me see if I can get my hammer. So I just use a mallet, right? And you see it's kind of moving. Perfect. And you're probably like, oh, that came out really easy. Yeah, I just did mine last year, so mine will probably be easier than yours, depending on how long you've done it. So, that being said, remember this ring goes on the front, and it's super important that you don't lose these rings. So, let's put that off to the side. Now we are going to free the axle. And before we do that, something that I like to do to help me remember where all the bolts go, because we have a big project here, and I'm pretty sure most of you car guys do this, is you just thread them back in to where they belong. And I'm obviously struggling with my left hand and trying to show you a video. So you thread them in so you don't lose them. We're going to clean all the bolts and all the threads later, so I just barely thread mine in so I don't mess with the threads any more than I have to. And we're just going to move it off to the side. So over there is my left hand side, all designated. So now I need to make a right hand side, all designated. And I think we're running out of room in the garage, you know, Christmas time type thing, but we'll figure it out. So for right now, we're just going to put this right behind us. Okay, so now we're going to remove the axle. So just like before we talked about, we got all this free, we got the hub gone, axle's now freer. Now we got to move the axle nuts. I don't know exactly what they're called, but they're right here. These are 12 millimeters. On S chassis differentials, there's a variety of different differentials and type combos. Mine is I want to say it's a 3. It's a 3, like arm type with 6 bolts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right. There are other types, and as you do research, you'll learn the different types, and some have to do with the S14s, S15s, but mine is just straight in S13. Trusty Steve, old school stuff. So let's just pull it apart, and I'll get back to you shortly. All right, let me quickly show you how I've been getting these off. They're really hard to get off because I just don't have all the right tools. So I have this 45 degreer, and I have this PVC pipe that goes over my 12 millimeter wrench, and that's what I'm using to break these bolts free. A little bit of WD-40 helps, but I didn't think they were that seized on there, so I've just been breaking them. But yeah, really, if you got a will, there's a way. So you just keep working at it, and it'll come free. And let me see if I can just get these real quick. So there you go. As you can see, the diff is out. The diff is free, y'all. So this car only, when I bought it, I think I'm the third owner, only had 95,000 miles on it. And I don't think anybody's really been in here and opened anything up. So it is really cool. Really cool how everything is so still like pretty good. I think I'm like the first one opening this up, so let's see what looks inside of a diff here. Oh, that's right, I think I gotta... Oh, okay, so to take the diff completely off, there's like these little safety mechanism in there. Right, I guess it's for safety. But what we're gonna do now is we're gonna remove the control arms so that we can let the knuckle be free, so it can fall forward, so we can pull the axle out. Then we'll have the axle free, and we'll have all the control arms free. Then we can work on what I think is probably one of the hardest things, is removing the dang ball joint. I struggled so hard with it the other night. So, alright, so to remove most of the control arms, you only really need a 19 millimeter. Yep. And I'm going to use the socket because, the impact wrench, because it's so much easier than doing it by hand. If someone can lend you one or whatever, then do it. It's like the best thing ever. Isaac, the homie that was in the last video, and he'll have some content coming soon. This isn't just my channel, but he lent me his impact wrench, and it has helped me out so much, helped me go by fast. So I'm gonna hurry and blast off all these bolts. What I've just been doing is I've been using the wrench. I've just been putting it on, right, locking it with my hand. Sorry, let me show you what I'm doing by showing myself. But I've been locking it on by hand, just been blasting them off with the impact. Right, I'll go get my actual sockets for the impact. Just blast them all off, and then I just been putting them back on the arm. As you can see here, it's not connected. Just put it back on, so I know where the bolts are. And that's probably the biggest thing that I've been told by most enthusiasts, is that when you're taking stuff apart, you can lose track of the bolts, and then you end up never finding the bolts again, or putting them on the wrong spot. I think that has happened on this before, because in the front, on the coilover, there are some questionable things happening with the coilovers. That is a whole other story. Be patient if you're like actively watching. I am saving up to get new coilovers. Most of this is all on my own dime, so that'll happen sooner or later. Real quick, as I've been doing this, I've noticed that the back two bolts for the upper control arm and the arm back here, which I am still learning all the names for the suspension, I just can't remember off the top of my head. But the bolts back here are 17 millimeter. And something really odd is this guy right here. This bolt is massive, and I just find it really interesting. I don't know why. Like, I don't know. I feel like most of us 240 owners have got a car secondhand that someone's already been through, and I'm not trying to flex, but I feel like I've been blessed in the sense of I don't have that problem. So all this stuff is factory, and I just want to know what it is or why. Like, I think these bushings are from the factory, like the subframe bushings are from the factory. So it'd be good that we're doing this, but also really cool that we get to do this for the first time, I think. Alright, y'all, so we got all the control arms done, and now it's time for the magical moment. We're gonna let the knuckle kind of fall. We're gonna pull out the axle, and that is the axle. It's gone. Great. We're gonna set this to the side, and then we're gonna take these nuts and bolts, put them back on the diff. Then we're gonna blast off the rear diff bolts. We need to lube them because I don't want to break any of these ones. So we just launch it at it. All right. Yeah. Okay. Great. So we'll let that soak. And then we'll get right back to you. Then after that, we will take. Actually, before we do that, while it's soaking, we're gonna take off the lower control arm, and then we're gonna take out the knuckle, and we'll press out the ball joint. And I'm not gonna film us pressing out the ball joint because in the next part, when we go to press the ball joints in, I'll just quickly explain how you press them in and out. Alright, as you can see, everything is free. We got everything done. We got the old LCA, I think. Ready to roll. We'll shoot that with some paint tomorrow. But yeah, just wanted to get some video done for you guys to know that we're still working on 240, that like we're still putting in work for the YouTube channel. Part 2 will be a lot better. We're gonna get a table, we're gonna get some more things. But thanks for sticking with us all the way through the video. I know it was a really short, long one and kind of all over the place, but that's kind of the gist of everything, just taking it apart. It's not as fun. I didn't think you guys would want to sit and watch 20 minutes of me just struggling to take off bolts and stuff. So yeah, so moving forward, part 2 will be a lot better, a lot more fun. We'll have some painting going on, we'll get some stuff cleaned up, and we'll reassemble, and we'll get it slapped back onto the car looking great. We'll have better lighting because it'll be daytime, and everyone will be happy. So thanks for watching, guys. Like, comment, subscribe if you want to, and peace.